Hello and welcome to Transform Tuesday. I'm Dave McCormick, VP of Products and Services here at Alpha Software, or in this case, here broadcasting from my house, but with Alpha Software. Today, we're going to be going over initialization commands. It's a rather short presentation, but I'm also here to take your questions. And I'm joined today as well by Sarah Mitchell, who's in charge of our documentation department. So let's get started. Let me open up the PowerPoint. Looks like it's already open. I'm going to scroll up here to the top. And Sarah, could you confirm that video and audio is coming through before I start?
Yep, I can see your
All
screen
right.
and hear you fine.
Fantastic. All right, so let's jump down to today's lesson. This is based on, actually multiple people have written in asking this very same question, and it has to do with how do you set default values in Alpha Transform? And you do that using something called initialization commands. Now, there's actually a couple ways to set default values. You could use the transform programming language as one method, so that, for example, when someone enters a field or leaves a field, if they leave it blank, you could let TPL set the value for you. But there's a way to do it without using TPL, and it's called the initialization commands feature. And frankly, it's a little bit buried in the software. So today I'm going to help expose that and show you how to use it. So initialization commands, we're going to go through why we're going to use them, what's the difference between initialization commands and preview values, and where you set them for top level fields and where you set them for data groups, which is a little bit different than for top level fields. So a lot of what I'm going to do today is based on documentation that you can find online. So let me get the documentation here for you. I'm going to copy this and I'm going to paste it here into the chat window so that you can save it away or bookmark it or whatever for after this presentation. There it is. And let's go ahead and do a live demo. So we're going to pop over here to Alpha Transform, and I'm already logged into my account. So to begin today's demo, we're actually going to just build a simple form. So I'm going to add a new blank form type from in here. I'm here at transform.alphasoftware.com. I'm at it's called the online web portal version of it. And while I'm here, it's given me, it's already filled in new form 2. I'm going to call this one A_init test. And down here, same thing, I_init. Actually, I'm just going to do A_init test. So I just had to give a name to my new field. Oh, let's fix that typo. I don't like that. And then I'm going to start using the quick start text, which is the simple way of building out a quick form. So today's form, we're going to want to include a data group in it because we're going to need to want to show you how you can set initialization values on data groups as well. So we're just going to do a real simple form. I'm going to say first name, last name, city, and then let's say pets. We're going to have multiple pets. So let me go ahead and save this away. And it brings me back here to the form types list. And I'm going to double click on this particular form so that we can edit the fields that we just created. Now, if you've noticed, if you're new to Transform, as soon as we typed in those fields, we already have something that's pre-built. And I can actually publish this up to my phone and have it work right away. But I want to make a few changes before we do that. The first thing I want to do is I want to start giving these proper field names. So I've given them titles so far, for example, first name, last name, city, and pet. But that's just the title that you see on the screen. It's not the underlying field name. And we're going to need those underlying field names in a minute. So I'm going to give this field name the same text as I gave the title. So this is first name. Whoops. Except it was auto-corrected for me. Darn you, autocorrect. First name, and I'm going to go to last name. Last name. We're going to go to city. I'm going to type in city. And then for pet, we're going to type in, as you may have guessed, pet. Now, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take that pet field and I'm going to create a data group. That's a repeating set of fields because I might have more than one pet. In fact, I do, as a matter of fact. I'm going to hit plus to add a new command, and I'm going to go down here to data groups, and we're going to enclose this in a data group, and we're going to give this data group a name. We're going to call it pets, And we're going to say new message, add a new pet. And I won't put in a delete message. Notion of deleting a pet, that sounds kind of cruel. Anyway, so I've got that set up there. I'm going to go ahead and save commands. I'm going to click to save settings. Okay, that's fine. And now we're going to go back in here. And you'll notice that I have these preview values here. Now, a lot of times people think the preview values, and this is pretty understandable, are the value that might get put in if nothing else is put in, but that's actually not the case. The preview value is just what you see here, right here in the editor, or actually in the preview window on the right, and it's just to give you a sense of how it might look in real life. So for example, I might say the preview value for the first name should be Dave, and then you'll see it's Dave. But that doesn't make it the default value. It doesn't make it the value that you'll get when you first open up the app. And what we want to do is we want to make some of these default values. So let's go down back to save commands. And we're going to, right here, right where we enter in TPL, if you guys are familiar with this advanced functions area, what I've done is I've chosen the form that I just built, and I've gone down into the property section. I'm opening up, clicking this little arrow next to advanced features. And I'm going to scroll down here to where I get to initialization commands. And here it's given us an example of how they are entered. So I know that I've got a field called city. So I'd like to maybe have that default to Boston. Now, to do that, you need to use this syntax. You need to actually tell it the kind of field, that you're entering into. In this case, I know city is a text field, so I just type in the word text. And then next to that, I type in a value. So the value is going to be, let's say Boston is our default city. Now, if I had a field which had date or time in it, I could also specify date or time, and I could include a value here with the time zone or without the time zone. And you'll actually see instructions not here on how to do it, but in that documentation link. And in fact, I'm going to open that up for you right here to show you how you might do that if you wanted to set a default value for the date and time. So I'm going to scroll down to initialization text. Here we go, initialization commands, sorry. And here they give an example of the date format that you would need to use and the date and time format that you need to use. It's basically 4 spaces for the year, 2 for the month, 2 for the day, separated by dashes. And in this format here, if you want to include a time, and in this format here, if you want to include a time, but you also want to associate a time zone with that particular time. So those are how they get set right here, and that's in the documentation link that I just pasted into the chat window. All right, so let's go back here. I've set the city to Boston. So now whenever I open up the form, let me go ahead and save changes here. I should see that that is filled in for me. So let's give it a try and see if it works. So let me open up my phone, and I'm going to turn on screen mirroring, which is not appearing here for some reason. I might need to restart my screen mirroring software. I use Air Server, by the way, and generally it works pretty well. It's a one-time purchase. I think it was like $20 or something like that. And you can just Google it. And what it lets you do when it's working is, start running that again. Oh, yeah, it looks like it's up and running here. Good. There we go. Is that it lets you broadcast from your phone to your computer. And while I have a Mac, there's also a PC version as well. Let me go ahead and choose my Mac on my phone, and in a second you should see my phone. Here it is. All right. So here I am in TransForm. I already have TransForm app open on my phone, and I'm going to click Add Form. And because I don't yet see the form that I just created here, I'm going to need to tap that refresh button. That's this orange one up here at the top. And I should see something. It says loaded latest form definitions called A init test. This guy right here. So I'm going to click A init test, and you'll say, sure enough, Boston has been set as the default city. So I don't need to go any further. So the next thing I want to do is I want to show you how you do this on a, let me shut off mirroring here for a second, how you do this with a data group. It's a little bit different. So for a data group, we're going to go back into my form here. And I'm actually going to choose the data group that I'm in. And in the data group, I can also set initialization commands, much like I did before, and it's the same format as before. So I'm going to say pet, that's the name of the field, text, that's the type of the field, and then the default value. I'm going to call it Fluffy. I don't have a pet named Fluffy, but it's a good name. So let's go ahead and click and save changes. And if I've done this properly, I should be able to open up my phone, go to screen mirroring again. Oops, screen mirroring. And I should be able to go back into my app, whoop, open up, add a form. And although my form is still here, I know it's not the latest copy, so I'm going to hit refresh because we just made a change to it. All right, so that's all set. I'm going to go ahead and tap on that. And now I'm going to say add a new pet. And sure enough, the default name for the pet is set to Fluffy. So that's pretty much all I wanted to cover today. When you are doing, so today I just wanted to point out what the difference was between default values, which you do in initialization commands, and the preview values, which only really affects what you see here on the right while you're building the form. And that the initialization commands for top level fields happen at the form level in the advanced section, like we've done here. But if you're doing it for a particular data group, you do it at the data group level right here. And the directions and the syntax for doing the different types of format are in the link that I just provided. So do we have any questions on this or any other transform questions? When will the new version? Of course, yes. We are looking to have new beta tests. I hope a new set of files will be delivered tomorrow, which means that you'll get them next week, which sounds an awful lot like what I said 2 weeks ago, and I apologize for that, but we have had a few delays here on our side, but we are back in business. And again, we'll send out an email to all of our, anyone who's got a Transform account to let them know when the beta is available, how to get hold of it, and how to test it before it becomes the real deal, which usually takes place about 2 weeks after the point in which the application is furnished. Are there any other questions? Well, if not, I want to thank you once again for joining me on Transform Tuesday. If you do have any further questions, go ahead and send them to tfservice@alphasoftware.com. It's monitored by a team of people here, and we'll be happy to get back to you with answers. Until then, hope to see you next Tuesday. Take care, stay safe, stay well. Bye-bye.